So first and foremost, I want to thank you for coming out. I saw your interview with Sean Ryan, and when I heard you say, I've been a 1%er my whole life, my head turned, because when you see these big interviews and, you had Hollywood influence of your life out there and stuff like that. But when I heard that 1%er thing, I was like, this is my guy right here.
Very cool.
So let's talk about the beginning, because a lot of people, we're going to get into the shootouts with warlords and all that.
Right.
But let's start at the beginning, because a lot of people know you for the famous stuff, but a lot of the 1% life that you live, the biker stuff, people don't know about that aspect of you. So can we start a little earlier, where you grew up and what your influences were?
Yeah, no problem. I grew up in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and I always tell people I was raised as a hillbilly, I was raised shooting guns and hunting squirrels and shooting rabbits and turkey and deer. And but I got my first motorbike at 7 years old.
Wow.
So I was 7 years old when I started riding. I still ride to this day. I'm 62 years old now. My dad was, a Marine. My dad was a champ boxer. I mean, he was a pretty badass guy. And my dad would always say when we were kids, if I was broke down along, or if he was broke down along a road, I'd rather for a bunch of bikers stop to help me than a carload of gangbangers. And I think I grew up like that. And I'm the same way. I grew up like that. When I was married and had my daughter, if I would have been broke down on the road, I'd rather bikers stop and help me, because something I found out over the years, bikers are only bad when they need to be bad. Come on, let's be for real.
I agree.
A lot of the garbage and stories that you hear about these big bike clubs, they're not true, man. Mm-hmm. Those guys are fathers, they're grandfathers, They have children. They don't want their children dying of overdoses, Mm-hmm. And me being in the biker world and being a preacher, I can't tell you how many bike clubs I pray for and their children, So I grew up in a family knowing that bikers were good. They were the ones that could help you, You
know what I always found weird? That they have all these RICOs on these clubs, right? On these outlaw clubs. But what you're doing is the real problem in the world today. The children. We have to protect the children. Why are they not focused on what's going on with children over here, as opposed to some club that maybe one of the members is hustling?
What the government wants to do, the government wants to control you. The government wants to control our neighbors, our community, our state. And if they can't control you, the government begins to fear you. That's why the 1% clubs, the bike clubs that are out there, they fear them. They fear them, so they want to try to take control. So they'll take the big guys, even if there's nothing to their story, and they'll end up coming down on them because they feel if they can control the clubs and the big guys, then they're safe. You look at me, now I'm jumping ahead on a few things, but I received the Mother Teresa Award. At one time, I was the only American to receive the Mother Teresa Award for Social Justice, 2013. 2014, the federal government, the feds raid my motorcycle shop in my home. They tried to get me for smuggling guns. This is how stupid they are, okay? Can you imagine me smuggling guns to Africa? What was I going to smuggle, a deer rifle?
Yeah.
A shotgun? You can buy an AK-47 in Africa for $200, full automatic, Why would I do that? But it's because a bike club, the federal government can't control them. So that's why they want to try to dissolve us. But what I've seen over the years, I'm a businessman, okay? I've seen all the top 10 clubs out there. They are starting to become business-minded people.
Yeah.
You know what the government wants from you and me? Taxes.
Yeah.
They want us to pay taxes. So the bike clubs are learning, hey, we pay taxes, they'll stay away from us. So they're not going to make us quit. They're not going to dissolve the clubs. They're not going to make us shut down. They'll make us turn into tax-paying citizens, and that's fine, you know.
What was the politics behind them raiding the motorcycle shop? Do you think it's because of the stuff they're trying to do out there?
No, you know, supposedly I had a son-in-law that was stealing money from the nonprofit, and he got caught. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even going to go after the guy to put him in jail or nothing. The state went after him because he stole from a nonprofit. So he was trying to get out, so he told stories. But supposedly because of big-name bike clubs that I associate with, because of that, they were watching me and they were waiting for a moment to come after me. And they did. I mean, it was unbelievable what they did to me. They knocked holes in the walls of my warehouse looking for stuff hidden in the walls. They took every computer out of the offices, every computer, every laptop, you know. So
when they destroy everything, do they have to like fix it, or do they just leave you with a disaster?
Like my lawyer said, you know, even though I'm a 1%er, I'm a businessman and I have lawyers. That's the only way you can do business, you know. So like the lawyer said, he said, I can get you a lot of money, but you're going to be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. I don't need that, you know.
Yeah. So
So I walked away from all the damages that they did. But, you know, the federal government has come after a lot of preachers, okay? So I know right now we're talking bike club, 1%ers. Now we're switching over to preachers. They have went after a lot of preachers, big-name preachers that had to pay thousands of dollars of taxes. After a 2-year federal investigation I was in, I mean, they went through all the books, everything. After 2 years, my fine was zero.
wow. So
Yes.
it was all for nothing.
Yeah, it was all for nothing, man.
Do you think it's because you were part of a club? They wanted to try to tie that in or something?
You know, I don't think it was just that I was part of a club, you know, because yes, I ride with one particular club, okay, that I will wear their cut and everything. But at the same time, I associate with other clubs too, you know. So I think they were just trying to bring me down, get me in a corner, look if I was going to squeal like a pig or something, you know.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they found out that, you know, I'm the machine gun preacher.
So how does this whole mission with the bike start? You said you started at 15 riding.
Yeah, I started.
Where were you at when you started getting around clubs
I
and stuff
was
like
living in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So then, and I don't want to mention any of the club names, but every time I say a state you can just Google who's in that area because they're still in that area.
Yeah.
But I started riding at 15 years old. I was on an old Triumph chopper, and I started riding with a club there. I was selling drugs. I was probably in northern Minnesota, one of the major drug dealers.
What era is this? Is this 80s, 90s?
Oh, well, I'm 62 now, so we're back in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
In the late 70s, you know. But even though I was young, what made me such a big drug dealer, and I was really good at it, is I knew people my age, but I knew people 10, 15 years older than me. And I had a lot of older guys that might have been, you know, 30 years old, and I'm 15, that trusted me. They knew that they could trust me. So, I mean, I would have them, when I was 15 years old, put like $100,000 worth of drugs in my hand, and I would sell them, you know, and I made a lot of people rich, and I made a lot of money, you know.
Is this moving around, or is this all in Minnesota?
No,
at
it
the
was
time?
in Minnesota, but then I started running drugs from Grand Rapids to Minneapolis. Then I started running drugs from Minneapolis to Chicago. I found out there was money in just moving drugs around.
Yeah.
And then I ended up in Orlando, Florida, you know. So in all of those places, I was associating with 1%ers. I mean, that's my life. You know, if you're a biker, you're a biker. I mean, if you're a weekend rider, that's all different. You know, I was not a weekend rider. I mean, When I lived in Minnesota, we used to stud the tires, and people say, why? Because I didn't have a car, and it snowed all the time in Minnesota. So we would put steel studs in the tires, And I have a lot of people say that's stupid. I know it's stupid, but I didn't have a car.
So you're familiar with just feeling like you're freezing to death.
I'm telling you, man. But we would always wait till the sun come out at least, so the roads were a little bare, But if you look at Minnesota, man, they got snow up there in June,
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to Florida. My old name was Savage,
Yeah.
So a lot of people my age and older, they remember me as Savage.
Yeah.
Because that was my name back in those days. But I was selling a lot of drugs in Florida, and I mean it went to a different stage, and then all of a sudden I was in the middle of a pretty big drug deal in a strip joint, and that's where I met my wife. I met my first wife there. She was working there that night, and so I lived a pretty wild life. I mean that was just I didn't know any other way of living, And back in those days, I mean, like I said, I'm 62. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, you could get away with a lot of stuff,
Yeah, and no cameras everywhere.
I'm telling you, man, no cameras. I mean, I remember I was shot in Pennsylvania and never filled out a police report. You get shot in the U.S. now, you're going to have police reports, everything go on.
What happened in that situation? You just got bandaged up by your girl or something?
Yeah,
or?
My wife pulled the BBs out of my back. I was shot in the back with a shotgun,
Oof.
And then I was stabbed a few times, but I went to the hospital when I was stabbed. They stitched me up, But years ago, there wasn't reports and all that stuff done, So the world has really calmed down. Far as I'm concerned, in the biker world, and I'm talking from the top, and we all know who the top is, I always watch naming a club, but we know who the top clubs are. They have become business, big business, man. I know some of them own bars and restaurants, and I had one guy say there is no reason to sell illegal drugs anymore. You can grow it and sell it to the government, and it's true, And support gear is becoming a multi-million-dollar thing for the clubs, and I'm happy inside knowing that so many clubs, they got it together now, man.
Yeah.
They're almost becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry when you add all the clubs together, and I think that's awesome.
So what was your first experience you actually getting into the bike world and, rubbing elbows with these people?
Back in my days, it was a little bit rough. We're talking in the late 70s, early 80s. But I can tell you the biggest thing in the biker world, and it still is today, is trust. Mm-hmm. If they trusted you or trusted in you, then you could get close to these guys. They're like family, they're brothers. So So I mean, I can honestly say I've had people in suit and ties steal money from me. But I've never had a full-on 1%er steal money from me.
That's amazing. I like that right there.
If you notice, I've had I've had a Hollywood movie made of my life, Machine Gun Preacher.
My favorite actor played you.
Gerard Butler.
How crazy is that? Leonidas wanted to be you.
No way, man.
He's over here, fighting Xerxes, going with the 300 Spartans.
Come on.
And he says, no, I want to be the machine gun preacher.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
But I've had, if you really look at my life, and we were talking backscene a little bit about things that has happened to me over the years, I had a Hollywood movie done, my first documentary done, my first book was a #1 seller, and people made millions. I'm talking millions of dollars off me. And I never got paid, the whole point of the movie Machine Gun Preacher was one man's struggle to save children in East Africa. That's what the movie is about.
Yeah.
You know, I fought a rebel group called the LRA, the Lord Resistant Army, Joseph Kony. And I fought them for many, many years,
Wait,
man.
Joseph Kony. That name doesn't sound like an African name. What's
No,
that?
Kony, Joseph Kony,
Yeah.
Kony. Yes, it's an African name. Joseph Kony was a Chole. Joseph Kony was trying to overthrow the government of Uganda. There's no way he could have done it. Uganda is a very strong government, and I mean, that's my home, Uganda. I live in Africa full time. Uganda is a land of milk and honey. But he was trying to do it with child soldiers because Joseph Kony is a coward. His people that fought with him and for him were cowards, and they were children, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he would steal children, and he would make these children, force children to kill their parents and brothers and sisters because he wanted to control them with fear, and he would. So his army was a army made up of a bunch of children, you know.
But wouldn't that inspire hate within the children? Because you corrupted them?
Yes and no. What you got to remember, this is how he would do it. Joseph Kony, he was a cruel person, you know, and he's still alive, and I'm still looking for him. I'll see him one day. But Joseph Kony, what he would do, he would kidnap children and the parents, mostly the mothers of the children. So you got an 8-year-old kid here, you got the mother over here, and the rebels will tell the mother, you tell your child it's okay, he can kill you, or we're going to cut him up limb by limb in front of you. Any mother is going to look at her son and say, son, it's okay.
Oh,
it's okay.
That got to be the most evil thing I've ever heard someone do.
The son, when the son takes a machete and chops his mother up, his mindset feels there's nothing on earth he could do any worse than what he's done.
Yeah.
So that's when the rebels, they have brainwashed the child at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, and what's so sad, you know, the area where I'm at now, like I said, I'm 62 years old. I'm still in East Africa. I still rescue children. Our work has got massive, okay? I mean, we feed over 10,000 meals a day. We drill wells. We got a commercial farm. We feed thousands of people for 3 to 4 months. We give all the food away on the farm. So we got a lot of work going on. The big thing is I still go into conflict areas. You know, everyone in America, we heard the name ISIS.
Yeah.
We heard of Islamic State. Some of us may have heard of ADF. You Google ADF Congo. Those 3 rebel groups have come together, and the terror that they are doing is unbelievable. But if you're able to get my new documentary, you can go to MGP Never Stop. MGP Never Stop. You watch this new documentary. It just came out August 9th. There's footage on there of Congos. There's footage on there of a school that the rebels went into, padlocked the doors. Imagine this, a brick building with bars on the window. They padlocked the doors and caught it on fire, the building, the roof, and they threw bottles of gas in through the windows and stuff. Burnt children alive.
Wow.
So I'm still in the midst of the fight, still rescuing children. We have 5 different children projects in East Africa right now.
Is it hard to sleep at night knowing what's happening to these kids, or because God put you in a position where you can actually help, it helps you be able to sleep at night? Because the horrors that you've seen are pretty...
I've been in over 10 major battles over the years. I've been in Africa 28 years. I've been ambushed over 10 times. They tried to assassinate me over 10 times. I'm not going to say I don't get scared, because anybody would be really stupid if you don't get scared. But, you know, you get kind of used to it. And now that I'm getting old, now it's almost like adrenaline rush, you know. I know a lot of people out there that hear me talk, and especially our men and women that have fought for our country. They know what I'm saying. You know, even though you're out of the battle you kind of miss it sometimes, But I run one of the top 10 security companies in East Africa. So that's what I do for a living.
Is that like a Blackwater kind of thing?
Yeah, but we're a little bit different. I have dual citizen. I own the organization. So we are kind of like Blackwater, but we work for the people within the country. So we guard banks, we guard Forex bureaus, shopping malls. I mean, we guard churches, we guard homes, we run payroll, we guard gold. I run gold for gold mines and all that stuff.
Is this in the United States or in Africa?
No, all in East Africa.
Oh, all in East Africa.
Yeah, all in East Africa.
So is it like a thriving economy out there, or is
in East Africa, especially in Uganda, you have to have security if you're in business. So I won't say that it's a thriving economy. If you got a little bit of business head on you, I believe you can do business anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Now, what I always tell people, if you got a little bit of business head on you, but you got God on, if God is on your right side, left side, and has your back and going before you, you should be making money if you're in business,
Yeah.
So I look at my life over the past 20 years. And I got to give God all the credit for my life. Some people can say that they're successful on their own. I can't say that, I'm a high school dropout. I have no education at all, but I wrote 2 books. I got a 3rd book that comes out next month. I couldn't read or write at 14 years old.
You're brilliant. All the business you've done and all that.
But I got to give God the credit,
Yeah, I agree.
mean, I don't have any education at all. But
it shows you the education system is like,
right,
what are they really teaching?
Up. Yeah, I used to sell drugs to my teachers. but here I am now. I do business conferences around the world,
Yeah.
So people will hire me through my booking agent to come in and speak on business, and people say, how can that happen? You got to have a college education. No, you got to have a little bit of common sense. But the big thing for me, now listen, everyone that hears me out there, there's a lot of ways to success. Mm-hmm. Mine came through Jesus Christ.
So in your interview, when you said, he asked you, like, how did you have the strength to even end up going to Africa? And you said, I was a 1%er my whole life. That being a 1%er, it groomed you to prepare you to be able to be in a dangerous, hostile situation, right?
What people needs to realize, a lot of radical Christians out there, they believe that when you give your life to the Lord, you have to change. That's not what happens. Mm-hmm. When you become a believer, the only thing God wants to do to you is remove the old heart and give you a new heart. I'm still the same Sam Childers I was all my life. I'm still the same Sam Childers when I was a drug dealer. It's just now my life has changed as far as, I don't want to hurt people anymore. I want to help people, Mm-hmm. So I believe that your morals in your life has changed. Something that I tell, whether I'm in a clubhouse or whether I'm in a church or on the street, God will open a door for everyone. And I want everyone to hear this and just think about what I'm saying. God will open a door for you. And when you stand in that threshold of that doorway, the decision you make at that moment will determine your destination in life. I went on a mission trip, 5-week mission trip, heard about a village that was raided. I said to some soldiers, good rebels, I said, I got to go see this. I've always been like Thomas in the Bible. They told Thomas Jesus has rose from the dead. And Thomas said, I won't believe it till I see it with my own eyes. Mm-hmm. So I've always been like him. I told these guys, I got to go see this village. We went to this village, and it was the worst thing I ever seen in my life. Hundreds of bodies chopped up with machetes,
wow,
shot with guns, but laying on the ground dead. The red clay dirt in this village was now bloodstained, the whole village.
Why is it that they don't value life at all like that?
You know, they want to control the community and the area through intimidation, and they do that through killing people. The one soldier said, "We got to do a recon in this whole village, looking for children that's hiding." So at that moment, I thought, wow, maybe I'm going to find some children hiding. Maybe I can save a life. But I came across the body of a small child, may have been 8, 9 years old. Couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. From the waist down was gone. The child stepped on a mine or explosive of some kind. And I remember standing over that child. In the movie Machine Gun Preacher, it shows me in the village. I hear a bomb go off. I go running there. I find the child. It didn't happen like that. I found the body 6, 7 hours after it was blown up. And I stood over that body, and I didn't realize what I said. I said, God, I'll do whatever it takes to help these people. It's been 28 years.
Wow.
I'm still there, still rescuing children. You know, like I said earlier, we have 5 projects for children. The orphanage from the movie Machine Gun Preacher, it's still there in South Sudan. My wife and my pastor's wife is there now with a team of people from all around the world. You know, they're there with the people. The orphanage I built was built on a battlefield, you know. So they're telling the stories. You know, we feed over 10,000 meals a day. We have a mobile clinic that goes deep into the bush where there's no roads. You know, most people don't realize in East Africa, 1,400 children die per day, malaria.
Wow.
That's malaria. From bad water, from bacteria infections, 1,200 children die per day.
So if they just had clean water.
We drill an average of 1 to 2 wells every month, our organization. The organization has got big over the years, but it's got big because of people like you. It got big because people look into what I'm doing and they say, wow, this is the real thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of organizations you can give money to, but you can't put boots on the ground. See, our organization, you can put boots on the ground. I'll tell you what, man, I think we need to bring you to Africa, do a show right in Africa, man.
Yeah,
That'd be
down.
awesome.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is like I feel like God pushes you in the directions. I've always said that when I have enough money and power, I want to do stuff to help kids, you know, with all this Epstein Island stuff going on in the media. You were making change in that world before I even was probably born or thinking about it. And it's like, I heard your interview and you said, you don't even have to have money. God, if you go on your mission, God will like start pushing you in the direction you're supposed to go.
When God sees you're serious, he'll get serious with you. But what you got to remember, I know a lot of 1%ers out there, and I'm talking guys that are doing unbelievable things for children abroad and also here in the United States. Why are they doing more than the suit and tie guy?
I agree.
Because they're not afraid. They've been without nothing. They're not afraid to be without nothing again, so they'll put it all on the line. I'm telling you, you know, we used to talk, and I'm going to talk a little, okay, like a religious person a little bit. We used to talk about revival in the church. I believe there's a revival happening in the biker world, man, because these guys are wanting to do good. All you hear anymore is a cancer run for this person, cancer run for this person, Toys for Tots for this person. I mean, you're hearing the top 10 most dangerous motorcycle clubs in the world. They're the ones doing the work, saving children. What happened to the so-called Christian people?
Yeah.
You know?
And these bikers they're not just like raising money and then just giving it to some crooked organization that you don't know where it goes. They're like getting the toys for the kids, getting the turkeys, like.
You know what? I keep hearing stories, and already this year I heard many stories. I'm talking these 1% clubs on their ride. They drive by, they see some little kids selling lemonade, and they stop and buy them out, man. I think it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And all I can tell the clubs, show the American people what we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do, man.
Do you think clubs are like, I know like there's a secrecy, so I respect that. That's tradition. But do you think clubs, like you said, people should know about some of the things that they do? And I feel like they're so quiet about it. They don't allow them to put it out there. But meanwhile, the media is putting out all this negativity about clubs.
Well, the Bible says don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing, you know. So I think that I like how they do it. They don't want to be noticed. I like that, okay?
Yeah.
And that's what we should do, okay? Because you take a lot of the rich people, they like to see a banner on the ball field with the name of their company, you know.
Yeah.
And here you got the clubs, they're willing to put up, you know, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for cancer and other stuff. They don't even want their name mentioned.
That's true.
I think that's awesome, man. That's what we're supposed to do. You know, it's not about everybody knowing what we have done. It's about you knowing what you have done in here.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know, and it's something, you know, everyone, like you said earlier, they'll pick all the bad stuff the clubs are doing. Listen, we got bad police officers. We got bad military. We got bad people in clubs. We got bad preachers. You know, there's bad people all around the world, you know, and they're going to be with us till the sound of that trumpet, you know. The biggest thing is the Bible says every knee shall bow, every tongue will confess. You have to confess and answer for what you have done.
So this problem that you're targeting, which is like a big problem around the world with children, you know, being unsafe, what do you think it was that drew you to like Africa per se than any other country, you know, because is this problem bigger in Africa and this is like at the root of a lot of this stuff?
Well, everybody has seen the movie Blood Diamonds. You know, there's so many movies of Africa where child soldiers involved. The movie Machine Gun Preacher, that was my life. God gave me an opportunity to do something, and I just stood up and done something. I didn't do it for a movie. I done it to save a child. You know, if you see, this is an example that I give all the time. If you see a burning house, a house is burning, and if you see a child on the second floor window looking out the window, if you think about the consequence of going in that house, if you think about it, you can't save a life. You know, I believe when God gave me the opportunity, because it was a full-on rebel war going on, I didn't think about it. I didn't start thinking about all the what-ifs, you know, and I think sometimes that's why 1%ers can get stuff done. They're not going to think about the what-ifs. They just go and do it.
Is it a natural thing? Because I have this too where like rules don't really apply to you. Like a lot of rules is like, but that rule doesn't make sense. So I'm going to do it this way. Because I feel like that's what you did. Going all the way to Africa and saying, I'm going to save all these kids. Most people would say, well, like, why would I even go over there? Like, am I even going to be allowed to go in those areas, you know? It had to be some 1%er in you to be like, I don't care what popular consensus is. I'm going to go there and make a change.
I never really thought about it at the moment when I had the opportunity, but I can tell you that God has opened up so many doors. You know, I'm not only a businessman in Africa, I run a security company. The security company is one of the top 10. We started with small businesses, and now there's over 700 employees.
Wow.
You know, and it all started out small. You know, so I should have shut this off.
No, it's not making any noise, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I believe that God will not give you any more than you can handle.
I agree with that.
But when you show him you can take care of what little bit he gives you, he'll keep giving you more.
Yeah.
You know, if you look into my life and the movie and the money that went through my hands, I've had millions of dollars, over $30 million go through my hands over the last 12, 13 years.
Did
I
you
don't
ever
even
think it
have,
would?
but I don't have 20,000 in the bank. How can that happen? I built 7 schools. I'm building number 8 school right now.
Wow.
I built orphanages. I built a farm that would give all the food away. I spent the money to save other people's lives.
And you went there with nothing, right?
I went there with nothing. The first 8 years was unbelievable, man.
Yeah. Tell me about going there though, because that's like you skipped to like all these amazing things that happened. But what was that feeling when you're first getting on that plane going to Africa for the first time?
When I first did it, I was a businessman. I owned a real estate company.
Oh, okay.
I had 17 houses. I had 8 stores. I had a construction company that done around $2 million worth of pole buildings and steel buildings a year. I lived a life that when I went into a store, I never looked at the price on anything. I bought what I wanted. If I was raised in a hillbilly family, we hunted all our life. If at hunting season, I bought the boots I wanted. I bought the gun I wanted. When I would go to a restaurant, I never looked at the price on the menu. I ordered what I wanted to eat. And then all of a sudden, I go to Africa. I can't live in America no more. I come home, I walk by my gun cabinet, and I start to cry because I see a gun collection worth over $100,000. I got a fishing boat sitting outside, a bass tracker. I can't even walk by it anymore. I can't even go fishing in it because I'm thinking about starving people. I got a camper trailer that I used to go out and for a week or two camping, enjoying myself. I can't use it no more because all I can see is starving children. So I started selling everything and rescuing children.
So it must kill you something that just happened. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Harley Davidson just got $89 million in bailout. So it's free money. They don't have to pay it back. What could that money have done if it would have went to you and those kids out there? You probably would have fixed all the problems out there, right?
I don't believe you'll ever fix them all. The Bible says the poor will always be with us. But we can save some more children. You know, the starving people, I don't know, here in America, people say, well, we got hungry people in America. Not really. We have deadbeats mom and dads in America. Because in America, every little town has a food bank.
Yeah.
Every medium-sized town got a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
They give out free money for
shelters
food.
And
But the parents will take the I'll call food stamps. That's what it was when I was a kid. And they'll sell the steaks. So buy steaks and sell them 20, 25, 30 cents on a dollar. There's no reason for people to go hungry in America.
I agree with that.
But in Africa, let me tell you what happens to a starving person. After 1 week, their body doesn't crave the food anymore. The stomach starts to dry up. Starting on the 2nd week, they start losing all the muscles in their throat. They can't even swallow spit. They can't even drink water. The body starts slowly shutting down. I went into a village that the people were starving. Graves were everywhere. And I thought, I'm going to save these people. I went back into Uganda. I bought a truckload of food. I rented a truck, come back with posha, beans, cooking oil. And the people couldn't eat the food.
They would get sick or something?
No, they couldn't swallow. So they made a porridge, and they took these hoses, maybe the size of my little finger, and they would put porridge in their mouth. And they would spit the porridge down that hose. They'd put the hose down the person's throat.
Wow.
And they had to do that for days upon days, hoping the body would come back. I used to say, oh, man, I'm starving when I'm just hungry.
Yeah.
I can't even say that no more.
Yeah, that took on a whole new meaning for you.
I'm telling you, because if you ever see a starving person, and then you give them something to eat, they can't eat.
Wow.
So, and I tell people all the time where I'm at in Africa, there is no hope. Now listen to this. There's no hope for them people but you. You're the only hope. So I don't think we should all go to Africa or India or another country. I don't think we should do that. But I think we should work where God wants us and do the very best you can do.
So what do you think it would take to fix what's going on out there with at least the kids being safe? What do you think it would take for that to happen?
You know, unfortunately, children are being exploited even here in America.
Yeah.
I think the laws need to change here in America, and then I think the stuff that's happening to children here in America would be fixed. You know, in Africa, when a child is being used as a sex slave or anything like that, if me and my team knows about it, we're not going to negotiate. We're not going to try to get a warrant.
Yeah.
We're not going to try to get a hold of judges to take papers against people. We're going to go and bring that child home.
That's what's needed in this world.
Absolutely, man. We need to make the laws for the children, not make the laws for the person that's hurting the children.
But the laws are like out of the United States, like child laws and stuff like that are different because they don't, you know, like it's a Western concept that you have to be like 18 and over or whatever, right, to drink and stuff. But in other countries, there's no such thing as that, right?
No other such thing. The problem with America is when somebody rapes a small little child that is 5 or 6 years old, we forget about the child and we start saying that person's sick.
Yeah.
The person's sick, but let's put them out of their misery.
I agree.
And then other people will stop doing it. There is no way a child should be raped at 4 or 5 years old. They need to do like a lot of these countries.
I agree.
Is if you rape a child, they'll shoot you in the street so everybody can watch it.
I think your family should be shamed too. Like they should stand in front while you get executed.
Absolutely, man. And but our ministry is all about saving children. But what a lot of people don't realize, if you're in a third world country, most orphanages, and we have 5 children projects, homes and orphanages. If you're in an orphanage, you have to leave at 15 years old. More than 70% of those children will end up dying. They die of violent crimes because they're forced into prostitution. They die of AIDS. They die of other disease. And I ask the church this around the world. The church is who builds 80, 90% of those orphanages. What have we done? We rescue a child when they're little, and then we let them die as a young teenager. That's why our projects, we have training programs to teach them how to do farming, ranching, irrigation. We own hotels. We own restaurants. We have a commercial farm. So we teach you a skill and a trade that you can function in life.
So when they're 15, they're considered an adult out there, so that's why it's like go
That's
work now?
most orphanages. Now, our orphanages and children's homes, when you're 18 years old, you have to leave. Some of the children, if they're finishing schooling, might be in our homes when they're 19. But after 19, you're definitely out of our homes. But we give you the opportunity. We own a big supermarket. We own hotels. We own a tire shop. We own an
so it is functional. There's stuff out there. Because I'm thinking...
No, we work over 700 people on a payroll. We teach our kids a skill and a trade. I believe if you're just going to build an orphanage, stay home. There's more to just building an orphanage. So our children, we give them protection. We give them a home to live. We give them 3 meals a day. We build schools for them to get schooling. If you're really smart, we'll even send you to university. But the biggest thing we do, we teach you a skill and a trade. We don't want to give you a job and keep you for the rest of your life. We want to give you a job, teach you a skill and a trade, pay you while you're there. But after 2 years, we want you to go get a better job, bigger paying job. That's what our organization does.
So how is the landscape there? Because when you hear the story, you think of Africa, you think of like woods and not developed like, apartments and buildings and stuff like that. So how do the people live where you're at?
You know, South Sudan can be really rough. You know, like right now, if you Googled the top 10 most dangerous countries in the world to visit, number 4 is South Sudan. So South Sudan can be really rough. A lot of South Sudan is desert. A lot of South Sudan is death. They're still very unstable. We are only there because of the children. We have one of the largest working orphanages in South Sudan. Uganda. Uganda is the land of milk and honey. Uganda gives everybody, even a foreigner, the opportunity to come in and do business. We do a lot of business, and our businesses are all very successful. I believe it's because God knows exactly what you're thinking. Jesus would answer people's thoughts. So he knows exactly what would happen or what I'm going to do if I make money. That's why our businesses, we have a supermarket, we have a fuel station. I love to tell people this. Shell, you all heard of Shell. Shell is the biggest fuel company in the world.
Yeah.
Shell had the largest American-style truck stop in East Africa. About 6-7 years ago, we started a truck stop in East Africa. It started out at 10 acres. Now it's 70-plus acres.
Wow.
It has a hotel. It sells fuel. It has an auto mechanic there. It has a tire shop there. Now it's the largest fuel station in all of East Africa. You know, so that's what God can do. But that project works because we're still building buildings and stuff. That project works about 130 people. You know, so our thing is about saving children of war, feeding starving people, but then educating those people and then giving them the opportunity to learn a skill and a trade. That's how you change a nation.
If Uganda is milk and honey, do they have the threat of like, because you said like ISIS is out there and stuff like that?
They're
do they
coming
have that
out
threat?
of Congo. Yes, there's a very big threat there. They're coming out of Congo, okay? So you got down near the Congo border is where you have that problem. Then Somalia, you know, you got what they call El Shabaab. El Shabaab is also another rebel group, you know. So there's a lot of rebel groups there always trying to take over, always trying to cause conflict. Uganda, the core of Uganda is a very strong military. The president of Uganda is born again, but he's a strong military man, you know.
Why has he not tried to conquer the land that they own and make that Uganda too, so that they
Why
could be...
did it take us over 10 years to find bin Laden? You know, America, we got the top military. You know, we got satellites that can look down and read your phone from the sky when you're looking at your text messages, you know.
He was an ally at one point, though, right? They funded him, right?
Who's that?
Osama bin Laden, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you look, it took America 10 years to hunt him down.
Yeah.
And we got everything. We got all the top technology. The problem with Uganda, they don't have all the technology yet.
Yeah.
But I've seen a country, when I first went to Uganda more than 2.5 decades ago, they didn't have a shopping mall. There was no big economy there. It's really changed, you know.
Does Uganda allow, like, let's say a kid from Sudan somehow gets away and they don't kill him? Would they let him in, or is it like
absolutely no? There's an East African passport. So my children that's going to school in South Sudan, if we teach them, not just give them schooling, they get a skill and a trade, they can go into Rwanda, they can go into Kenya, they can go into other countries and work. If you have an East African passport, you can travel freely within East Africa. Things have really changed over the years.
So is that the goal, to like take care of them, make sure they're safe, and then when they get older, they have the skills, and then maybe go to like a Uganda or Rwanda?
Yeah, and you know, our goal is, like, Africa's not like America. In America, you give a young person a job that might be 18, 19, 20 years old, he's going to use his money for himself. In Africa, you give an 18, 19-year-old a job, he's going to pay his brother or sister's school fees. He's going to take care of his grandpa and grandma. Got to remember, there's no old folks or elderly homes in East Africa. The families take care of him, Yeah. So if you make one full-time job, you have literally just taken care of 5 to 6 people.
Wow.
So we have over 700 full-time jobs. So if you look at, you're looking at over 4,000 people just being supported off the money that we pay every month.
So how is the climate now with the warlords and stuff? Is it always, are they they outnumber you greatly, right? You said there's
No, they don't outnumber. Right now, the problem is down around the Congo border. If you look at just last year, well, let's look at the last 2-3 years. The El Shabaab, ISIS, they have done bombings in Kampala. You can Google the bombings they have done in Kampala. I can even send you some videos and stuff.
Okay.
That's all done by ISIS and El Shabaab. So
why is ISIS there?
ISIS I feel they want to take over the world, man, but they just want a piece of the action around the world,
Do they call themselves ISIS, or is that like a term?
No, listen, the new documentary, and I don't want to sit here and keep pushing the documentary, but MGP Never Stop.
Yeah, I'm going to link it down in the description.
You can download it. You can call the MGP office, and you can get it on a flash drive. You can get it on a DVD. You're going to see ISIS on the documentary. Islamic State. You're going to see ADF of Congo. You're going to see these rebel groups that's causing all the terror. You're going to hear stories on international news, and you're going to say, I never even heard that on the news. That's because the average person in America, we don't watch international news. Mm-hmm. But there was one incident where ISIS went in and padlocked a building and burnt the building and killed 40-some children, burnt alive,
They so ISIS, they couple it with Islam, right? But in Islam, you're not allowed to do stuff like that.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Muslims are bad. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say an atheist is bad. I'm not going to sit here and say that a Jehovah's Witness is bad. What I'm going to sit here and say is we got a lot of crazy-ass people in this world. Mm-hmm. And that's who they are, crazy people wanting to kill and murder people and children. They need to be stopped, not negotiated with. The problem is we know there's a war going on right now with some warlords that are truly warlords, okay? Mm-hmm. And we want to negotiate a ceasefire and negotiate how we can stop the war. Listen, if you are a cowardless, loveless warlord, there should be no negotiation.
I agree.
They should be stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being out there, have you ever had the because of all the good that you're doing, but the 1%er in you, have you ever thought I need to amass an army and take this over and get rid of them?
No, I would never do that. I would rather help with the armies that are there and the authorities that are there.
So there are good armies there going against them?
Absolutely. The military in Uganda, the UPDF, man, they got it going. I mean,
so they're so close to Uganda that Uganda's military has to...
Uganda's military, they're in Somalia fighting. They're fighting El Shabaab in Somalia, And a lot of times we think because what was the movie Black Hawk Down, we think that America brought peace to Somalia. Do your homework. It was Uganda, and they're still there, and they're still fighting, and they're still fighting El Shabaab,
The more I learn about how the U.S. really works, and now that the internet has opened it up so you could hear all sides, it seems like we go to places and overthrow governments and put puppets in. We don't do good things in other countries.
Yeah, and then what we do a lot of times is we use the bad people that's in that country, and we think they changed, and we give them all the weapons, we give them all the money, and we put the country back in their hands and we leave. It's been proven over the years and the last few wars that's went on, and then the war starts back up again, you know.
Does anything that happens in America affect what goes on over there? Because, you know, they say, like, what happens in America has, like, a lot of, like...
Absolutely. When interest rates go up, when the economy is bad, like right now, we know the economy is not very well. We know they're dropping the interest rates right now to get money flowing again. That can be a good thing for any third world country. But when interest rates go up and the economy is bad in America, it affects every country around the world. Even Western countries are affected. You know, but we got to look, you know, America's in a mess right now.
Yeah.
You know, I believe the average American, we don't even know how many trillion of dollars America's in debt right now.
Yeah.
You know, so America has a big problem. You know, the best thing we can do, and there might be people not, you know, don't like what I'm going to say. Shut the borders down.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, come on. There's people in America we should be helping. Yeah. Not be giving over $100,000 to support a foreigner that's coming into the country illegally. My wife is African. Am I saying we shouldn't let people from other countries in our country? No, but they need to come in the legal way, man.
You know what I wish they would do? And I know this is considered like a bad thing to people, but I don't really care about rules. You know how they do like mail order bride?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a real thing, if it really exists, but why don't they, like, let's say you have like people over here that want to marry someone with like those values out there where they're more loyal, you know, because there's a lot of feminism and stuff like that going on right now.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they like put somebody that's in a oppressed situation where they can marry someone from America?
Come on, man.
And then bring good people over here and save people's lives.
My wife and me would never come to the United States to live. My wife's a lot younger than me. We married in 2018. I don't want to tell you what we have to do to get her a 2-year visa. Wow. We have to show we have money in the bank. We own property in Africa. I mean, she has to buy an insurance policy for the weeks that she's coming over here,
wow,
in case she gets injured or something, only for her to come over on a visa. Wow. You know, so I mean, but what gets me is, and I know we're not here talking politics.
Oh, you don't know me. I love politics.
But here's what I don't understand. We leave our borders open. We're the only country in the world. I've done 16 world tours speaking around the world. There is no country in this world you can walk into without a proper visa, paperwork, whatever.
I believe the U.S. is functioning as a world government, not as a sovereign nation, and that's why it's like that.
They want to control everybody. Mm-hmm. They want to control everybody. And like, you know, there we go back to the thing again. Why is our government, why have they hated the 1%ers so bad, you know? Mm-hmm. Like you look at what's going on in most of Australia. I don't know if you've ever interviewed a 1%er out of Australia.
No.
There's a story for you.
Yeah.
You have to register tattoos in a lot of areas.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've spoken about that. Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to register a tattoo. And if you're a tattoo artist, if you put on a tattoo you're not allowed, you can go to jail. And you can't wear your cut in town. You can't. There's some towns you can't even ride with more than 4 bikes. You know, those rules are already in Australia, man.
Yeah, they make them cover. Like, I know some clubs out there, and they wear like a diamond. They got it tattooed on their face.
Yeah,
and they make them cover it with Sharpie when they go outside and stuff like that.
Come on, I'm telling you, you know. So the government. All I can say to all the clubs out there. Keep forming yourself into business people, make money legally, and we can do it. We can do it better than the politicians. We know most of our politicians make their money and get their money illegal, but we can do it legally and pay our taxes, and no one will ever take our cut away or our freedom away.
That's why I had this idea. I don't know much about the NRA, But I was thinking that if bikers really came together, we could do like our own NRA.
Man, I'm telling you, people have tried to do that. But I want to tell you, sometimes the clubs, we want to fight each other for stupid stuff, man. We need to stop that.
I know.
And we need to come together. We have one thing all in common. The big man is trying to take us down.
Yeah.
We can be strong in numbers.
I have a theory on that because, dealing with so many clubs, some of the big clubs, I know, like the Laughlin riot and all that stuff, I know for a fact that a lot of times it's a Fed or ATF, whatever, the agency is, they get into the club. And I hear a lot of times when you really look at the root of everything, it starts from that plant that starts these things that start to escalate. And because I know of situations where I can't talk about on here, but where there was two of the biggest clubs in the world, like, let's squash this. Let's let it be done. Yeah. And then some member who later on turns out to be law enforcement starts a fight and everything escalates.
They don't want us to come together because they can't control us one by one. So they don't want the clubs to come together. You got it, man. You hit it right on the head. You got it. Yeah.
I think that a movement of bikers that are not in clubs maybe could start that, and then it could expand to the clubs. Maybe they'll start realizing like the power lies here because there's a lot more people that ride that are not in clubs.
Yeah.
So if we could come together like that, maybe the clubs would be like, you know what, this sounds like a good idea. Yeah. I'm hoping to make change. What you've done in your life is testament to change,
like I've always said, when we become a Christian, God don't want to change us on the outside. What he wants to do is use our past for his future.
Yeah.
And, people don't, a lot of radical Christians believe, oh, no, you got to change the way you dress. You got to do this. You got to do that. No, that's not what God wants us to do. God wants to use your past for his future.
So I'm gonna tell you a funny story that I never told people about. I had a horrible home invasion. I had a gun pointed at my face. My daughter's laying right here. I told that part of the story, but for some reason, this guy didn't pull the trigger. I was a Crip for a lot of years, like 12 years, and I was heavily immersed into gang life. I was ahead and all that. And when I looked at that gun, he didn't pull the trigger. And then a couple of days later, I've been shot before. That situation was way worse. Like a home invasion is like a mental, like you feel like you're not safe anywhere. So this pastor hits me up randomly on Facebook and he says, one day, he said an angel came to me and gave me a message for you. And I'm like, what? And he said, you will be the one that goes into the mud and brings people out of it into the light. And I never understood that. And when I started Demon's Row, a lot of people think that, like, a lot of Christian people like, oh, you got that name Demon. It's speed demons,
Come on,
but they think it's like demon, like, demonic stuff. Yeah. And I understand because you got like clubs out here that all have those kind of names. And it made me realize, like, now it's like I've been speaking up about certain political things and I have all these comments, God bless, God bless. And I'm telling them, God bless. And it's like, this thing that I had that seems like it's dark. I like to say Demon's Row is almost like a heavy metal record. When you turn it backwards, you hear the devil. Yeah, I feel like Demon's Row on the outside seems like that, but when you turn it backwards, the message is actually, bringing people closer to God. So it's so crazy now that I think about it, because when that pastor told me that, I was like, what is he talking about? Like, I'm lost right now.
Even a non-believer will call upon the name when he needs a miracle.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people will call me and say, Sam, I need prayer. And you get off the phone, they were the ones that never believed in God, But when your child gets sick, when your grandson or granddaughter gets in a car wreck and their life is on the line, people will call out to God. But let me tell you, that's what he's for. The only thing I tell people, why wait? Why wait till it's a life or death situation When, serving God is all about Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 25. That's what God wants us to do. In my Bible, it's titled The Final Judgment. It's about feeding people. It's about clothing people that don't have clothes. It's about giving water to people that's thirsty. And that's what our ministry is all about,
I think people have prayer wrong too. I always pray for strength because I believe God gives us the gifts and he guides us on our mission. But we have to take that, like you said, we have to walk that walk. He's not going to do it for us. There's a lot of people that are praying, waiting around for God to do something. Or the people that don't believe in God, which I can't wrap my head around how you could believe that there's nothing with everything that's in this world, how you could believe like that you're an ape or something, like evolution is a joke to me.
Man.
Complete joke, And
I'll give you a new way to pray. And I say this a lot of times when I speak is I tell people, change your prayer life and don't ask God for nothing. Ask him every morning, God, what can I do for you today? Ask him every night, God, what do you want me to do tomorrow? See, you change the odds all around.
I also thank him because I think a lot of people like, please help me, please help me.
Come on,
I don't
man.
do that.
Yeah.
Give me strength to for what I need to do. And then thank you because my car broke down, because if it didn't, a block over, I would have died because this car would have crashed into me. People think that the things that happen are bad. A lot of times they're not. They're getting you prepared for your mission, or they're saving you for something that's worse, Well,
I tell you what, if you look at my life the past 28 years, the movies, the documentaries, the books, everything that went on for 28 years, and I'm not dead.
Yeah.
How can that happen?
Only God.
Only God.
Yeah. That's the only way is possible.
Yeah.
Man, this was amazing to sit down with you, and I really enjoyed it. I knew I would. Like the way when you were talking, the way it's very powerful the way you speak, And you definitely have the gift from God,
I tell you what, I really would love to get you in Africa sometime.
I've never been out of the United States.
There's a place in Sudan, not South Sudan, Sudan, where they bring children across an auction block.
What?
They bring children on an auction block. They'll be shackled together. You come to my office in Pennsylvania. I have a biker museum there. I'll show you a pair of shackles for a little kid. So, there's stuff going on in the world. We have child trafficking here in America, but it's nothing what's going on overseas. And all I want to say to every listener out there, if you know anything on child trafficking, stop it. Stop it. And you might say, oh, I can't be a narc. Let me tell you something. I'll be whatever you want to call me, because if I know anything happening with a child, I'm gonna stop it.
Me too, yeah. One thing that I noticed too is that when Trump was in office, I would see it on the news all the time. 280 kids in Ohio, 100 and something kids saved. I don't see it anymore. Since you've been out, I haven't seen it anymore.
Listen, like I said, we're not here to talk politics, but look at what all the Democrats want to change in laws. And people say, oh, now you're going to pick on Democrats. No, I'm going to pick on anyone that believes we should lower the age to have sex with children. Come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell any man or anyone, don't even look at my granddaughters, because you're going to have a problem, man. This thing of where a man can use a woman's bathroom. If I go to the shopping mall with my granddaughters, okay, I got 3 beautiful granddaughters. Yeah. They go to the toilet, they all 3 go together, and I stand at the door.
Oh, yeah, if you try to come to the door.
The first guy that comes out of that toilet, out of a woman's toilet, when my granddaughters are in there, he's going to be laying on the floor, man.
I'm not letting you inside the bathroom. Like, if my daughter's in there, you're not going inside. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, and don't come out. Don't come out of there either.
Yeah.
The world is getting so crazy, man.
I know. But people like you, people like me, and my younger stage of trying to do stuff, and I'm learning from you, because I always said that I wanted to do something helping children, and I thought small, like, like in the Bronx where I grew up, the poor people, like helping more with that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but like you took it to a whole nother level.
Well, you got to remember my upbringing. Even though I was in drugs at a young age, my dad was born again Christian. My mom was born again Christian. And my dad always taught us, if there's a bully in the school, you bully the bully. My dad always taught me and my two brothers never walk away from a fight. But if we started one, he was going to whoop us when we got home. I mean, our dad was a tough guy, man, and he didn't go for any of that garbage. And I think that what we got to get back to raising our children the right way.
Yeah.
You know what? People forget. What was our country founded on? In God we trust.
Yeah.
We forgot about all that, man. Yeah. When I was a young kid, people ask, Sam, when did you get your first job? I was mowing people's yard when I was 7 and 8 years old.
Wow.
I couldn't even start the lawnmower. And I would tell my neighbors, you start it, I won't shut it off till I'm done. But young kids today, 15, 16, 17 years old, they don't know how to start a lawnmower.
Yeah, you're right.
We got to get back to the old things, how this country was founded. It was founded on working hard and God we trust.
I agree. That's a great way to close it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, my brother.
All right, man. Yeah, I want to say one thing. Anybody that's out there, if God can use me, I challenge you, really look in to who Sam Childers was.
Oh, tell them where they can find you, too.
Yeah, if God can use me, just imagine what he can do with you. Machine Gun Preacher, you just Google Machine Gun Preacher. My office will come up. My office is in Pennsylvania. It's at a motorcycle shop. But I'm on Facebook. The big thing for us right now is MGP, Never Stop. Get that documentary. That documentary is not even 2 weeks old, okay? It literally just came out. This is the first big show that we even got on to talk about it, you know? We got big things happening the next few months, so I want to say thank you to you, all your listeners out there, but if God can use me, imagine what he can do with you.
So where exactly can they find that? I'll have it all linked down in the description, but that's on your website?
Yeah, if you go to, you Google Machine Gun Preacher, everything comes up. You'll get my phone number, everything.
Okay.
I mean, so I'm telling people out there, I don't care who you are, you can call me, man, we can talk. I mean, I don't ever want to be like some celebrities. I don't even like to be called a celebrity. They say I am because of movies and books. But listen, you can call me, man. We can talk, if you want to go to Africa. And listen, I'm going to be talking to you about, I think we need to record a show in Africa, man.
I want to do it.
Yeah, we need to record a show in Africa. That's going to take you to an all nother level, man. There's some big podcasters and YouTube people and radio out there, but you don't see them in Africa.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. I haven't left the United States. I've been stuck here.
We'll get you, man.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you so much.